Hello boys and girls, Miss Holloway here. In today's lesson, we will not be using our workbooks. You will be doing a worksheet on Google Classroom, and I will be showing you how to label fractions on a number line today, and also I will go through the worksheet that you are going to do on Google Classroom. So if you watch this video, then you should do really well on the worksheet on Google Classroom because we're basically going to do it together. Okay, this is an introduction to fractions on a number line. And you might be thinking, well, what are fractions on a number line? Well, you know what a number line is. You're used to seeing a number line. And when we talk about number lines, we're used to labeling them, starting with 0 and labeling them with whole numbers. And then we know that the number line would continue on this way, or it would continue this way. But what about fractions on a number line? What does that actually mean? And why are those important anyway? Well, the most common number line you might see is on a ruler. A ruler is kind of like a number line, but it does have endpoints. A regular number line that has arrows just means that it keeps going on, but a ruler obviously stops. So you're used to seeing rulers, and this is kind of like a number line. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12, and then it stops. But you might be thinking, well, what are these little marks in between each whole number? What are these tiny little tick marks in between the 1 and the 2, and the 2 and the 3, and before the 1? Well, those are fractions. Okay, each tiny tick mark is a fractional part of each inch. Okay, so from this tick mark, the end of the ruler, to the 1, all those little tick marks are part of 1 inch. And fractions on a number line are important when you're measuring things. If you're using a measuring tape or a ruler, construction workers, people who build houses, people who lay carpet, if you're measuring your walls for wallpaper, or if you do a lot of sewing, maybe somebody's a seamstress and they are sewing things, they use a measuring tape to take measurements. And it's important for those reasons. You need to know fractions on a number line for those reasons. You need to know that it's only half of an inch, or maybe it's 1.5 inches, or maybe it's just 1/4 of an inch, or 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to talk about what those things mean. But first, I want to talk to you about how to draw a number line the right way. So what I want you to do is go get a piece of paper and a pencil, or a pen or a crayon or whatever you want to use, and come back, and we're going to draw number lines together. Pause the video to go get your things, or if you're ready, then I will start. Okay, the most important thing you need to know about a number line is that all of the tick marks or the parts have to be equal, just like if we were drawing a circle and we're cutting it into 4 pieces, those pieces must be equal. If we have a rectangle and we're cutting it into 2 pieces, the 2 pieces must be equal. Same as a number line. I'm just using this ruler to draw a straight line. I'm not using it to measure anything, okay? This lesson is not about really how to measure things, it's just how to draw a number line with fractions. So I just use it as a straight line. So first thing, we're going to draw a line and put arrows on each end. That's showing that it extends infinitely in both directions. And then I'm going to decide how many pieces I'm going to break this number line into. So for now, we're only focusing on up to 1 hole. Okay, if I was looking at this ruler, I'm only focusing on this section from 0 to 1. We will move on and go above 1, but for now we're just focusing on what happens before the 1. So I'm going to start with labeling the first number as 0 and the last number as 1. Okay, so right now, if this number line was a different shape, let's compare it to a circle. It would look like this without having broken it up into any pieces yet. Okay, so we're going to start off with 4 pieces, just like what we did up here. Okay, this is my whole circle and this is my whole number line. All right, so when I'm breaking this up into pieces, because I am breaking it into 4 pieces and 4 is an even number, anytime you're breaking up a fraction or a number line into fractions that are even numbers, you can always split it down the center and go from there. If it's an odd number of pieces, like 3 or 5, you cannot split it down the center. Okay, so I've split it down the center, and now I have 2 pieces. From here to here and here to here are 2 pieces. If I was going to show you that on the circle, you could compare it to this. 2 equal pieces, 2 equal pieces. But I want 4. So to do that, I'm going to split the middle here between 0 and this tick mark, and split the middle here between the middle and 1. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces, and we're going to compare it to the circle, and it would look like this on a circle. 4 equal pieces. Okay? Now, to label these as fractions, because this first tick mark, normally in a number line, we would label it 1. But it's not 1 because this is 1. This is 1 whole. This part is just part of 1 whole. Just like this is part of the whole circle. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to count to see how many parts there are on this fraction, on this number line. We already know because I've already told you 4, but if we didn't already, this is how you do it. You never want to count the very first number. In this case, it's 0. In some cases, it might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It might be a different whole number, but in this case, it's 0. We are never going to count this first number. Think of it as running in a race, and this is the starting point. You don't count your first mile at the starting point. You would count it at the first mile when you get there. So it's the same as a number line. So we're never going to count that one. We're going to start here with 1, and we're going to count until we reach the first whole number. In this case is 1. If this were to continue, then there might be another whole number, but you always stop counting at the first whole number. And when you do that, that's going to give you your denominator. Remember that your denominator is the number that tells you how many pieces there are in all. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. That would be like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Okay, so because there are 4 pieces, we're going to make the denominator 4. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to count each tick mark, and because this is the first one, remember we don't ever count that one. This is going to be the first tick mark, 1/4. The second tick mark, 2/4, and the third tick mark, 3/4. Now you might be wondering, well, what about the 1? You didn't put a denominator or a numerator there. I could, and that would be the 4th tick mark, 4/4. So let me show you what each of these mean over here in the circle. This is just one part of the whole, so 1/4 would be one piece shaded. That's 1/4. 2/4, there are 2 parts. That would be 2 pieces shaded out of 4. 3/4 would be 3/4 shaded. And 4/4 would be 4 pieces shaded. And when the whole piece is shaded, it is the same as one whole. One whole circle is shaded. So anytime you have a number over itself, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, it means one whole. Okay, so we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And that's how you would label the fractions on the number line. Let's try another one. Okay, I'm just going to use my ruler to help me with a straight line. Draw your number line. Draw your arrows. This time, we'll break it up into 6 pieces. Start with my 0 and 1. 6 is an even number, so I can cut it down the center. Okay, so now I have 2 equal pieces. If this looked like a circle, I'll show you what this looks like so far. Okay, I broke it apart into 2 equal sections. Now I'm going to make it into 6ths. So to do that, I'm going to take the middle, and I'm going to put 2 here and 2 here. Okay? So what that would look like in my circle would be like this. We'll pretend those are equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's make sure. You should have from here to here is 1 piece. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In all, you have 7 tick marks. But remember, we never count that 0. So if you're just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and because there are 6, remember we never count the 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stop. We stop counting after we count that whole number. We're going to label each tick mark with a denominator of 6 because there are 6 pieces in all. You can also label the whole number if you want to. And since this is the first tick mark, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So over here, 1/6 would be 1 piece shaded, 2/6 is 2, 3/6 is 3 pieces, 4/6 is 4, 5/6 is 5 pieces, and 6/6 is the whole circle, one whole. Okay, let's try one more. Label it 0 and 1. This time I'm just going to break this apart into thirds. 3 is an odd number, so you cannot split it down the center. Let's compare it to a circle. Okay, to make thirds, I'm going to find the middle. I'm not going to put a tick mark there, but I'm going to find the middle and put a mark on one side and one on the other side, trying to make it as even as possible. In a circle, it would look like this. Okay? All right. So now let's count. We don't count the 0. 1, 2, 3, stop. First tick mark, second tick mark, third tick mark. Okay? So let's just say that this fraction was not here. And the question said, find the missing fraction. If you already know that it's thirds and you know this is the first tick mark, this is the second tick mark, then you know this tick mark is thirds as well, and if it's the second tick mark, then it's 2/3. So 1/3 of the circle would look like this, 2/3, and 3/3. One whole circle is shaded. Okay, now I want you to watch the second video so you can see how to find fractions on number lines with me, so you can do the worksheet on Google Classroom.